Redundancy is hard on everybody concerned. Most managers really dread having to hold redundancy meetings with their employees. And at the moment, managers are thinking things are different because everything's done remotely. We're all having remote meetings via Zoom, etc. I'm Jill Abero from JMA HR, and today's short video is about how we manage redundancy remotely. The rules haven't changed, the same legal pitfalls apply, but I'm not here to talk about the legalities. I want to talk to you about compassion and caring and managing redundancy with love. And if you follow those guidelines, then the legalities really look after themselves pretty much. So really, is doing it remotely any different from any other kind of redundancy? And the answer is no, it's not really. You still need to put the person at the centre of it all. It's about them and what's happening to their job and the fact that they're not going to have a job at the end of it. So even if somebody is on furlough and has been for months, or if they're out of the business for some other reason, on maternity leave or sabbatical or some other reason, and many reasons why people might not be in work, then they're still entitled to exactly the same treatment when it comes to redundancy as anybody else. You still need to consult with them, you still need to have meetings with them, they still need to absolutely understand what's going on, and they mustn't be disadvantaged by the fact that they've been out of the office, out of the workplace. So some of the things that you need to look out for. If you're having to make a selection between different employees and you're using some kind of scoring process to decide fairly who should leave and who should stay, well, that's great, and you can still do that, but you need to make sure that you're not being unfair to somebody because they've been on furlough. So, for instance, if you're looking at performance over the last year, well, most of the last year, anybody who's been on furlough hasn't been able to work, so they haven't been able to show good or poor performance. So it's not fair to do it over the last year. You need to choose a period when they're fairly compared to other people in the workplace. So do it over a couple of years, or do it for the previous year. But just make sure you use the same period for everybody and that it doesn't disadvantage somebody specifically. And again, people might be have been working at home, but bear in mind the fact that a lot of lockdown, they probably had to contend with educating their children, working from a kitchen table, or I've even seen people working from their beds. It's really been tight and difficult for people, and so it's not fair to judge their performance against somebody who lives on their own, has got a dedicated office in their home and is all set up for home working. So just think about things and are you doing it fairly? Next thing is consultation. They're still entitled to being consulted with about the whole redundancy, and that consultation must be meaningful. It must actually not just be holding a meeting to tell them they're redundant, but actually having a discussion with them about possible ways to avoid them being made redundant, hearing what their feelings and thoughts are on the subject, finding out what their needs are, things that you might be able to help with around helping them look for other jobs. They're entitled to have a companion with them because they could end up without a job. They're entitled to have a trade union representative or a workplace colleague with them at a meeting. And that can still happen, even though it may be slightly more difficult because they're in different places. And consultation isn't just one meeting. Consultation is continuous throughout the whole of the redundancy period. So until they've actually walked out of the door and are no longer working for you, then you should still be consulting with them. And that doesn't mean having a meeting every day, but it means being able to have a meeting if they ask for one, or if there's something further you need to talk to them about. So bear in mind that, you know, consultation needs to continue, and the fact that you're in a completely different part of the country from them doesn't stop that need and doesn't stop the ability to have it. And while you're actually doing the consultation, you know, we're all human. We might need a break. You might need a break. They may need a comfort break, but they may also be really upset and they might need a break to just go and compose themselves in another room. So, you know, make sure that they know that if they need a break, they can ask for it and you'll grant it. A big thing that managers worry about with remote meetings is that should we record them or not? And ACAS specifically advise against recording meetings about redundancy, but there are advantages and disadvantages either way, and you need to bear in mind that you can't see what the person's doing necessarily. They might have a mobile phone on their desk and be recording the whole conversation anyway. It happens even in face-to-face meetings. It certainly can easily happen with a remote meeting. So you might want to record it anyway, and then there's no argument about it. And if you record it, you control it. You need to be taking notes anyway. There should be a formal record of the meeting, and so if you're not going to record it, you need to have a note taker there who takes notes and provides notes to all of the people who attended the meetings. So recording it might be the easiest way of achieving that, and just send out the recording to people. Very happy to discuss that with anybody on an individual basis if you've got concerns about it. And the other thing to remember is that just because they're remote doesn't mean they haven't got an entitlement to appeal against it. They may feel that they've been treated unfairly or selected unfairly, or that your process isn't right. And they have a right in law to appeal against that. And you must hear that appeal and give them an answer to it. So just because it's remote doesn't mean you avoid the option of giving them an appeal. And far better if you've got an agreed appeal process that you can just tell them what to do if they want to appeal against it. And it might be as simple as, if you're not happy with the outcome of this and you want to appeal, then write to me by X date, or, you know, something simple. But make sure that they do have that chance to appeal. The main message here really is just make it meaningful. You know, it's about making sure that that person has had every opportunity to let you know how they feel, let you know their thoughts, let you know ideas they might have. You never know, you might be able to avoid the whole redundancy, and that would be a fantastic outcome. And just remember that it's a human being sitting at the other end of this meeting, and you need to treat them with care and consideration and, yeah, dare I say it, love. I call my whole program Redundancy with Love for a reason. So yes, this was a real whistle-stop tour through remote consultation, remote redundancy. It shouldn't really be any different or any more difficult than any other redundancy meeting. But I know that managers are finding the whole process very difficult at the moment. And so if you need any help or support with this or any other aspect of redundancy, then feel free to reach out to me, give me a shout, email me at jill@jmahr, and I will try and answer your questions. Or come to one of my free weekly redundancy surgeries where I can answer questions, and I talk for a few minutes about redundancy. So you know, that's a free resource that's available to you if you're thinking about redundancies at the moment. Thanks very much. See you all next week. Take care. Bye.